In this example video, we're going to look at review exercise 4-5 and how we put together the long-term investment section of our balance sheet. So they tell us that the Toto company reports the following on its year-end adjusted trial balance. We have investments in held-to-maturity bonds. We have funds to retire long-term bonds payable, trademarks, and long-term investments to unconsolidated affiliated companies. So again, we're going to prepare the long-term investment section of our year-end balance sheet. So we're going to start off with our investments in our held-to-maturity securities. So this would be when we purchased these bonds as the bondholder, in order to classify them as held-to-maturity bonds, we have to have the intent of holding on to those bonds until they actually hit their maturity date. We also have something called the fund to retire our long-term bonds payable. So we actually are the bond holder in the investment situation, but that we also have issued a bond that we have to pay back. And a lot of times that will come with a stipulation of having what we call this retirement fund that we need to have, so that we actually have to put money into this fund periodically, whether that's semi-annually or annually, as a stipulation of that contract that we have with the bondholder, so that by the time the maturity date comes for that bond, we have enough money in this fund in order to be paying off the entire balance. Remember, bonds payable is typically a very large sum of money, so we might have issued bonds in the amounts of millions of dollars. And in order for the bondholder to kind of reassure themselves that they'll be able to get paid back, they sometimes put this stipulation that there has to be this sinking fund, what we kind of call it, to put this money aside, that it only can be used to retire that bond payable. It cannot be used for any other reason whatsoever. We also have our long-term advances to unconsolidated affiliated companies. So unconsolidated affiliated companies, again, we're affiliated with them in some way, but we don't consolidate our financial statements with them. So we have to put that information in here as well. So we're going to sum them together to get our long-term investments for this period. That goes into our total column on our balance sheet, in total of $17,750.